Hey, welcome back, friends. If you enjoyed the friends, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. Today I want to be talking about some money-making dailies. Essentially, these are just going to be things that you can do for short periods of time that you're going to be making extremely good GP per hour on. Obviously, because you're only going to be doing it a short period of time, you can't do it for a full hour. That GP per hour amount is not accomplishable for an entire hour. But it is going to be one of the highest effective GP per hour methods that you could do as a low to mid-level account. And even high-level accounts that have troubles making money, this may be extremely good for you. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. I do want to start off by saying that a lot of these different methods I already have guides for. So go ahead and check the links down below if you're interested in getting a little more explanation on any of these more complicated methods. But the first one's going to be Vsmacks and Wicked Hood. Essentially, all you do is you teleport to the nature altar and make as many nature runes as you possibly can. If you aren't high-level rune crafting, you may not get double runes from nature runes. So it may be worth looking into your other options. I know blood runes are a decent option as soon as you hit that rune crafting level, or something else like law runes is also a pretty decent amount of money depending on how many quests you have done, as well as just a couple other factors, including the cost of the runes at the time you're watching this. And on top of that, you are already going to have the Wicked Hood on, so you might as well go ahead and make some Vsmacks. Vsmacks is going to be extremely profitable. I think it's about 500k GP per day, and it only takes you about a minute to do Vsmacks. For doing both of these methods, it should only take you about 2 minutes, and you should make about 650k, which means you made an effective GP rate of 20 million GP per hour. Very nice there. It's unfortunate that you can't obviously just continuously make Vsmacks over and over again, but 20 mil per hour is not bad, nothing to scoff at there. Next up on the list is going to be criminal bolts. Now basically all you have to do to make criminal bolts is to run around the wilderness and chop a lot of bloodwood trees. There are 4 trees that are outside of the wilderness in particularly bloody locations. That's the best way to describe it, essentially. Places like soul ores. And then in the wilderness, again, relatively bloody locations, but the entire wilderness is considered bloody, so they just threw them down in places that people got PK'd a lot. So realistically, they are going to be a high chance of getting PK'd if you are in the wilderness, just because they put these bloodwood trees at the high PKing locations. So be careful if you are going into the wilderness. Make sure you don't bring anything you aren't willing to lose, because there are skull tricks and stuff like that. But with the high risk comes a pretty high reward. You can make about 1.5 million GP per day while doing this. It only takes about 10 minutes. Which means that it's effectively 9 million GP per hour. One thing I do want to note is you can actually do this once every 6 hours approximately. It just takes about that long for the trees to respawn. So if you would like to, you could do this multiple times per day, but realistically, if you're not playing continuously over long periods of time, it's basically a daily. Another thing that I actually see a lot of people doing, but they aren't doing the right way to get the maximum amount of profit, is divine locations. Even in this guide, I wasn't 100% sure which divine location I should do to figure out the maximum amount of GP that I would get. So I figured I would just go ahead and go for the Simulacron, just because I found it relatively quickly and I knew it was a random amount of GP that you would actually be making. But I actually only made about half of the GP that I could have been making. If you mine divine runite rocks, it does require 85 mining to do this, but you can make 250,000 GP per day just from divine runite rocks. If you do extend this with Vsmacks, you can make up to 500,000, but you have to take into account the amount of Vsmacks it does cost, and that basically negates the entire profit that you would be making. So just go ahead and skip over expanding it and just mine them the regular way. And it is kind of hard to find the runite rocks in the Garajo dungeons, so be aware of that. I would personally recommend just getting 5 or so friends together and just sharing the cost. It does cost you about 86,000 GP to make a divine runite location. So just share the cost between a couple of friends, and once every week or something like that, you do have to put that cost in. But you get 250,000 per day, so it's more than enough to negate the cost, and honestly, very, very good profit there. Next up is actually a sneaky little one. I was not expecting there to be basically anything from the task set that was actually worth doing, but ends up potato cactuses are worth gathering every single day. If you have the elite version, you do get 120,000 GP worth of potato cactuses. All you need to actually start collecting the potato cactuses is to have the medium desert tasks unlocked, which means you need probably about 40 to 50 stats. It's relatively like a mid-level kind of thing to do to get the medium task set completed. And you do get about half of that cost. You do get about 60,000 GP worth of potato cactuses per day. No matter what, it only takes you about 1 minute to do, which means that if you have the elite task set done, you make 7.2 million GP per hour. That is absolutely insane. It is extremely close to a fairy ring, so just use anything that teleports you close to a fairy ring. Two things that pop into my mind are going to be the Ring of Slaying and the Tokyo Zol ring. But anything that gets you close to a fairy ring and just, I think it's code BIQ, and then get you really close to a weird old man and go right up to the weird old man and collect your stuff. Second to last thing on this list is going to be shop runs. Shop runs are not really the most profitable thing in the world. There are a lot of highly profitable, highly risky things like going into the wilderness for the bandit camp. I think that's worth like 12 million GP per hour, but all in all you make about 4 million GP per hour. If you do everything that I had in my shopping run guide, go ahead and check that in the links down below. It's not bad profit, but it's not the most insane profit. The obviously benefit of it is that you don't have to have any level requirements. You can make 2 million GP per day in 30 minutes. Zero level requirements, essentially. It's as long as you have places unlocked and you can go to buy all this stuff, you can make pretty serious profit, actually. I was very surprised by how much profit you can make just from doing shopping runs. Not the fastest profit in the world, but pretty good per amount per day. And last thing that I figured was worth mentioning was potion flasks. Potion flasks are going to be unlocked at a relatively high mining and crafting level, but they do make you a decent amount of profit per day. You do get about 400,000 GP per day, and it only takes you about 6 minutes to make all 50 of the potion flasks from the Ooglog area, which means that you make an effective 4 million GP per hour. Again, not the most efficient GP per hour, but if you think about it from an efficiency standpoint, you do make some crafting and some mining gains as well. All that crafting XP you can essentially go into an effective GP per hour, boost up the 4 million GP per hour a little bit just because you don't have to spend money on crafting in the future, as well as you don't have to spend time on mining or crafting in the future. On top of that, if you have the elite desert tasks unlocked, you do have another rock that you can go to in the desert that gives you another additional 25 rocks. It's going to be essentially just a 50% increase to the amount that you can do per day. It doesn't really change the GP per hour rate almost at all. But if you are interested in doing potion flasks, there is an additional 25 in the desert. If you do all of these money-making methods every single day, you should be making about 5 million GP per day. That doesn't even include if you do have enough time and you do criminal bolts multiple times per day, or if you're doing the 50% additional potion flasks, you will be making even more on top of that. Honestly, 5 million GP per day, that's about as much as you need on a Runescape account. It should make it so that you don't really need to do almost any other money-making method, unless if you really want to do some high-level bossing like a Raxor or Telos or something else that's going to make you some insane GP per hour profit. If you guys enjoyed this, go ahead and hit that like button down below. I'll also love it if you hit the subscribe button so you can see all my future content, and leave me a comment. Let me know if there's anything that I missed on this guide that I should have added, or if there's anything on this guide that you didn't know about and you are starting to do every single day now. As always though, have a good one.